Okay, all set to go.
Okay, thanks for joining us, everybody. Today is January 19th, Tuesday night, 2021. We're still under the auspices of COVID. It's 6:31, and I'm calling the meeting to order. Randy's got a flag for us. Pete, why don't you give us the pledge, please?
All right, I'll stand up. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thanks. Thank you. All
I'm
right,
glad I'll say it.
go roll call, Randy.
Okay, trustee Winslow,
Present.
trustee LaRue,
Present.
trustee Marks,
Present.
trustee Everson. Oh yeah, state where you're at again. Trustee
Very good.
Winslow.
Marquette Township, present.
Okay, trustee LaRue.
Marquette Township, present.
All right, trustee Marks,
Marquette Township, present.
trustee Everson.
I'm present in Marquette Township.
Okay, treasurer Johnson,
Ishpeming, present.
clerk Rattari is in beautiful Marquette Township, and supervisor Durant.
I'm present in Powell Township tonight.
Oh, okay, so staff present, we have our manager, John Kangas, our legal counsel, Roger Zappa, our fire chief, Dan Shanahan, our planner, zoning administrator, Jason McCarthy is with us, and our staff planner, Ryan Dietrichson, is also here.
Excellent, thank you. Do we have any emails, Randy, to share for public?
We do not.
Okay. So that scraps board member comment.
We do have one member of the public here, so you might want to open it up for them.
Oh, I see that. Thank you. Yes, if anybody wants to address the board before we get going, feel free. Okay.
Ben, I'd like to just thank that Lily, I guess, for attending our meeting. I encourage others to do the same.
Okay. Tonight's consent agenda consists of approval of regular meeting minutes of January 5th, 2021. We have bills payable in the amount of $140,554.30. We've got December's sheriff's activity report as well as the fire department activity report. We've got a channel lineup from Charter Communications, making some changes to 3 channels. And December's financial statements, if we could get approval.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Okay, roll call, Randy?
Clerk Rattari is yes. Trustee Marks,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Everson,
Yes.
trustee LaRue,
Yes.
treasurer Johnson,
Yes,
and supervisor Durant.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay. I'm not aware of any conflicts of interest, so unless there's a change to the agenda, I need a motion to approve that.
Again, I will so move to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll support.
Okay, roll call?
Clerk Rattari is yes. Trustee Everson,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee LaRue,
Yes.
trustee Marks,
Yes.
treasurer Johnson,
yes,
and supervisor Durant.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, thank you for that. Up next is board education and privilege comment. For tonight, we have staff reports. Fire department, why don't you start us off, Chief Dan?
Very good. I will say December was a little bit, I guess it's a word in emergency services we don't use too often. It's a 5-letter word, starts with a Q and ends in a T. That's how December was for us, pretty much, a little bit below average, but it seemed to be a little bit a 5-letter word and ended in T. We're still continuing our training and meetings online. I'm expecting next month, I'm hoping next month to go back to everybody meeting in person. We've had 90% of our firefighters have had their first vaccination. 50% have had both of their shots. We have had 2 firefighters that are starting the firefighter 1, firefighter 2 class. They started last week. We will be going out for proposals on the 2000 to replace our 2005 pickup. Just to get an idea on some costs. We did get a price last year, but we've added a few things and deleted a few things, and we're gonna see how that goes. We're also starting to organize a truck committee to replace our 99 Pierce rescue pumper. And with that said, Pierce will be up next week with a demo that we can have a look at.
Uh-oh.
To finally close out the 2018 Assistance to Firefighter Grant this month. And that's all I have. You have your reports. If you got any questions.
Anybody have any questions for the chief? Yeah, your
Linda?
calls were a little more spread out this month, or last month, which wasn't too bad.
Linda has a question.
I have a question. Can you share with the township board any grants that you are pursuing at this time, or maybe not?
Oh, at this time, and I believe they should, I know the one is in the report. Or it should be, not saying it is. Yep, it is. The one is. Well, the AFG, the 2020 Assistant to Firefighter Grant just came out. I believe last week, Thursday, and we are in the process of applying for that again, which we do every year. And every year we do also apply with State Farm and AAA. Those are the only grants, that we continually apply for. And as they come up, there's quite a few that we do apply for, but those are the ones that are active right now. We do have some still out there that we haven't been declined yet. But yeah, we're pretty on top of applying for grants.
Good
Been
job.
fairly successful too.
Mhm.
Any other questions for Dan? Okay,
Real quick, Pete, I will say the siren might be coming on within 2 months. And it'll just come on for strictly fire related calls. We're waiting on the state program central dispatch. Well, then we can have different tone for the siren.
Would that be also for like PI accidents?
Correct, fire calls, correct, non-EMS, I should say, yeah.
okay. Anything else?
I'll mute. Have a good night.
Okay, thanks a lot, Dan. Public Works, do we have anything? John, do you want to share anything?
Yeah, I can cover for Lenny. For those that aren't aware, his mother passed away a week ago over the weekend. So he was off last week, which is why you don't have a written report from him. That being said, there was some pretty important business still happening, and you have some one of those items to consider later in the agenda, and I can give you a little more information on that when we get to it. I guess everyone should be aware Public Works is having Zoom meetings on a weekly basis still. I think they accomplish quite a bit that way. I've been sitting in when I can. They have started prepping the Impala for sale, just so you know. I got a call from a little bird. Mr. Randy Gerard happened to be at Fox Nagani today, and he witnessed them picking up 3 new cars, one of them being the sheriff's department, one of the cars being from Marquette Township. So while we budgeted a full-size SUV, they did buy another Charger, and that's fine if that's what they want. So that'll save us a little money in our budget. Good way to start the year. But it sounds like we might be getting access to that charger they are decommissioning possibly by the end of this week. So your next meeting, I will ask you to declare that Impala surplus, and we will put it out to bids with a minimum bid on it. Randy had indicated a minimum bid of 5,000 is previously what we've done. We're going to check the blue book, make sure that's a good number. If we need to raise it, we'll raise it. If we need to lower it, you're going to have that all to consider at the first February meeting. Just to follow the process, I'll have you declare it surplus, and then we'll put it out to bids and then bring the bids back to you once that process is complete. I guess that's about all I have from a public works perspective.
Okay. Any questions for John? Linda?
So I'll ask you that same question that I asked Dan. Are there any grants that we're actively pursuing for our public works departments?
Thank you for asking that. I was actually, when you asked Dan the question, I was going to mention, in case we hadn't previously, we are pursuing a drinking water asset management grant. And for those of you that remember, we finished a stormwater asset management wastewater grant shortly after I arrived here a little over a year ago. That's the SAW grant for the sewer system. Now we're going to try to finish the water system grant, and it would be 100% grant. I believe there may be some in-kind matches on some of the equipment if they don't consider it all 100% within their requirements, but you will have all of that to consider if they award us a grant, and you'll have an agreement to approve and all that. So that one is out there. We will be looking at potentially by the end of this month an affordability grant for our water utility. Basically, there would be a study done based on the income of our customers, whether or not our rates are affordable. And I think if you look at the percent of accounts that are paid on time on a regular basis, we are probably doing okay. But that might mean that there's some people out there that are prioritizing their utility bill over other bills. So this affordability study, if we get that grant, it will tell us whether or not our rates are where they need to be based on what our customers can afford. That will be enlightening if we are successful with that one. The other grant that's out there that would be public works related, staff planner Diedrichson spent a lot of time on also, is the non-point source grant for the 4 large culverts in Trowbridge Park. I think if we get that one will be a very exciting project. We'll see what happens there. It's much needed. It would be the Backyard Creek project, and it's downstream of the Ontario Phase 2 project that is happening with the Road Commission this year. So I think it's really good timing, and I hope Eagle sees the merit in the project. I guess we'll see. Those are the 3 that I can think of. Everyone should be aware of the 2 grants that Ryan was successful in getting from Eagle and the recycling partnership for these recycling carts. Those will be, I can't say 100% funded by grants, because there is, I think, $1,500 in educational costs that the township has to pay, but very minimal cost. And we are providing those to our customers, our residential customers, at no cost. So the local match will come from existing funds.
Thank you.
A question for John, if you can.
Sure, Pete, go ahead.
John, are we picking up glass now?
We are not picking up glass curbside, and we do not have the ability to do it in our current contract because it's not specifically itemized like the metal, plastic, and fiber.
Right.
The issue with glass, and if you talk to our hauler or any of the other haulers in the county, it's very hard on their equipment. And the reason why is when it breaks, all those shards get into all the mechanical equipment, And it's also so heavy that if you have a full load, their trucks just can't handle all that dense weight. So the current solution we have is very similar to what Negaunee Township does. During our monthly refuse collection at the North Country Transfer Station, we have a separate dumpster where any customer of the township can bring their glass and deposit it there once a month. It's the first Wednesday.
Okay. Somebody told me they're collecting glass, and I didn't think I heard it through the board here, but I figure I just asked you out in the public, so.
Yeah, the only place that's collecting at curbside is Marquette. They've done it 2 months so far, and I don't think it's gone very well. I have a feeling that their curbside collection is going to become a problem, and they're looking for other solutions. That's based on what I've heard. Chocolate Township has a dumpster set aside in a, I'm going to say non-disclosed location because people haven't been filling it with their garbage yet. That's only for glass. And so far, based on what we're hearing, it's been going well. Only glass has been deposited in it. So everyone's doing things a little bit different. There is a lot more glass being separated, and I guess we'll see where it goes long term, but the haulers really don't like putting it into their trucks. So
Thank you for clarifying that.
there is another option that we're looking at, and thank you, Trustee Marks, for the idea. I think it's a really thoughtful, outside the box idea. Haven't made any progress on it yet, but it's something that we're going to consider that would potentially allow us to collect it more frequently without having to worry about such a mess or abuse with garbage ending up in the dumpster that only the glass should be in. So we're going to take a closer look at it, see if we can figure out a way to maybe modify, do some simple modifications to a dumpster with the proper location being key. So
That was a bunch of good information. Thanks, John.
you bet.
Any other questions for him? Okay. Attorney's up next. Roger, what have you got to share?
Well, it was also a little bit quieter than usual in the legal world for Marquette Township in the past month. We, of course, dealt with the marijuana ordinance that is also on the agenda again tonight, and corresponding zoning ordinances. We've got a couple of questions on COVID policy issues that are an ongoing issue. It's only the questions that change month by month. We had a couple of real interesting development issues on platted property. We've been approached, the township has been approached to buy a developer. The developer hasn't really wanted to divulge its intentions at this point, but there's a promising business relationship that could be seriously exploring, and met with several of us to just see what hoops may have to be jumped through in terms of zoning and other ordinance and division of a platted lot or not. And that went fairly favorably, I thought. Reviewed some documents for participation in the Michigan Infrastructure Council just the other day. We've had a few minor questions on the website development that has been ongoing in selecting which of the preferences that are available will meet some of the statutory criteria, such as where do we have to post special meetings and so forth on the website. And that is pretty much what comes to mind in the last month since the last report.
A lot quieter.
And on the grant subject, I see a lot of the grants, but I'm not aware of any grants that subsidize your legal fees. But in all seriousness, I do get to look at a lot of times the grants either as they're being applied for or more often afterwards in terms of does this expense qualify for expenditure without violating the grant and things of this nature? So.
Any questions for Roger? Awesome, thank you. We didn't have assessing on here because we're going to be doing that probably quarterly as things develop, but I just want to let you know that we're gearing up for March Board of Review. And as of right now, it's going to be held on Zoom. So we have 2 days of 6-hour shifts. We have a 9 to 3 and then a 3 to 9. So apparently they're going to be Zooming unless something changes in Lansing in the meantime. Our 3 members of the Board of Review will be doing their education. They're required by state law to now have specific training, and they're looking at their schedules. We just don't have confirmation yet, John, I think, on whether that falls into our MTA package or how we're going to pay for that, but it is required. So if we have to pay it separately, we just have to do it. They are
I'm pretty sure that will be an added cost.
okay. So they're aware of it and they're fine, and they're going to be scheduling that. So I just wanted to make sure you knew we were up to speed on that. Then next up is community linkage. We don't have anything specific, but I did have an email today from Tom Broken, who's our TAC representative, which is the Township Advisory Council for the library. And the library's meeting this month should have been tonight, but it was changed to the 26th next week. So he will give us a report at our February 2nd meeting. And he's wondering if there's anything that we would like to pass to him to give to the library at their meeting. If any of the board members, if you don't think of anything right now, or if you want to email me, if you have a question or an issue or something that he can ask them, just let me know, and then he'll give us a report back on the 2nd. I think that's all I had for community linkage. It has been very quiet. John?
Regarding the library, they are conducting a patron survey this year. Andrea Ingmeyer had forwarded me that link to their survey. You can go online and take the survey. We posted it on our Facebook page. I did not get it to Andrea today to send it out via the email blast, but I will try to do that tomorrow so that anyone that's on the email subscription will also get it. So if you are a patron of the library and want to provide them feedback, that's the survey for you.
They were going to provide some, thanks for reminding me, I didn't write that down, some paper surveys, but since nobody's coming in the hall, we can't really do that. So we'll try to get it to them. And of course, if you've got a library card, you'll get it from them too. But yeah, I was thinking when you said you put it on the website that you had sent it to the board, but thanks for mentioning that. All
I'll
right.
share that with the board as well.
Okay, Pete?
Under linkages, I was contacted by a resident about the events committee, about the recreation committee. And I want John to control himself right now, but what they want to do, they want to put a presentation on for pickleball at our next, on a February recreation committee. So I just want to let people know about it so they can, if you're interested, listen to the rec committee meeting on February. So the next meeting will be on February 16th at 5:30 on Zoom. So they just want to let you know a little bit about it. So I brought it up at our rec committee because we couldn't do anything about it because of the quorum. And so they put it on for next meeting. So just want to let you know, John.
Good deal. Anybody have anything else to share from the community? Okay, let's move on to committee updates. Whoever put the final agenda together, did mention that the DDA has an opening with a term limit ending 12/31/24. So that if any of our public is interested in being involved with the Downtown Development Authority, which is going to be pretty active this year and the next year probably, with the MDOT project that's going to happen in the spring, resurfacing the eastbound lane of US 41. And we've had some conversations about lighting and walkways and paths and everything else. So if anybody's interested in spending a few hours a year, doesn't amount to too much, but we could use somebody for that. We do have 2 spots open on the rec committee, 2 spots on the road committee, and 2 on the events committee. And most of those are 2022, 23 expiration dates. So if anybody wants to help with those committees, we'd appreciate seeing you. There's an application on our website, or if you want to contact any of the board members, we can get you an application and put you to work.
Hey, Lynn,
Yes, sir.
as far as having enough quorum, if you don't find someone, would you put me there so they can have the meeting?
Okay.
Then we'll get another person and I'll step back.
Okay, sounds good. We don't have any draft committee reports to deal with, so 9A is to consider awarding bid for Northwoods tank painting and repairs. Probably falls to you, John, right?
Yeah, and normally Lenny would be presenting this to you, but obviously with the circumstances with his family last week, that was pretty tough for him to deal with, and I didn't have a problem with it. I think everything went pretty well. Clerk Rotari and I opened the bids. There were 4. And I should mention, we did receive 2 additional bids the following day, but we are not going to consider them because they did not meet the bidding requirements, and that's having them here by 2 o'clock the day that we open them. So one of those bids also was not properly identified. So we opened it not knowing what it was, and it's going to go straight back to them just like we received it, only in an open envelope. So unfortunately, that bid that we opened after the opening, because it wasn't advertised, was a little bit better than the low bid that you have to consider before you, but they couldn't meet the bid requirements. So I really don't think it matters what their number was. And you have a recommendation in front of you from Nelson Tank Engineering and Consulting, as well as mine. And my recommendation supports NTEC's recommendation, and that's to award the bid for the Northwoods tank painting and repairs to Earl Inc., doing business as St. Germain Sandblasting of Negaunee, Michigan, in the amount of $91,800. And if you recall, we had budgeted to do this work last year, and we had a construction budget of $80,000. And when NTEC did their inspection, they recognized some deficiencies in the tank according to the new 10 state standards, which is the standards that we all follow for drinking water. So some modifications have to be made to the tank, and that put us over our original budget. We budgeted $110,000 for this year. We have a bid price of $91,800. I think we're in really good shape. It leaves a little bit of contingency on the table if we have any surprises during the actual work. Not that I expect to have to spend any of it, because we did a lot of homework up front on this. So, excuse me, I would recommend awarding the bid to St. Germain. And by the way, they are the only contractor in the UP that does this kind of work. So I think we're pretty fortunate to have a local contractor be our low bidder.
Ed,
Eight.
I'd like to make a award the bid for Northwood Tank Painting and Repairs to Earls Incorporated So that'd be St. Germain Sandblast in Nagani, Michigan, for the amount of $91,800.
support,
Support.
Do we need a not to exceed, or should we just leave it at 91? John?
That'd be John.
If the project is going to go over that budget, we would have to have you authorize a change order anyway. So I
Yeah.
think we're okay with the current wording.
could,
Okay, go ahead, John.
I want to suggest to the maker of the motion that he revise the motion just a little bit. That he concurs with the recommendation of the township manager and awards to get the amount.
So moved. That'll do that.
Okay. Did we have a second?
Yes.
I second
we
it.
did.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, roll call, Randy?
Is there, what do
Sorry,
you want, Ernie?
Yes,
did you say something, Ernie?
Is there a time frame on that, John?
It has to be done during the normal months of the year that you can actually paint and have the paint adhere to the tank. We specifically kept a fairly long window and bid it early to get the best price we could. And that was actually advice that we received last year when we were considering our options. We were advised to bid it as early as possible before the contractor schedules get busy and to give them the longest window possible. So I don't remember what the specifications say for how long they're allowed to have the tank out of service, but we can run our system. I guess I shouldn't say indefinitely, but as long as necessary to do the work.
Yeah, the painting would be done in this, either the summer or probably early fall.
There's
Fine, thank you, thank you.
probably a 4 to 5 month window maximum to do this work. But they would probably have the tank out of service for, I'm going to say definitely less than a month.
Okay, anything else?
I have a question. Who's responsible, John, for notifying the residents nearby when it's gonna happen and how long it will be happening?
Ultimately, that will be our responsibility. I guess I'm going to have to figure out what it is we need to notify them of. The water service should not be disrupted. What we will do is feed that district from the Cox Pump House during the duration. So it'll be different water. It will be city water as opposed to well water. And I guess we can probably send out a notification to that pressure district to indicate that change. As far as the painting goes, they aren't going to have to enclose the tank. So that tells me they will probably be applying the paint using your typical roller type of application, not a spray application. That's my guess. I know that's how they painted the exterior of the tank that was built at the casino when they expanded in Harvey. They use ropes and all kinds of interesting rigging to do it.
It's always in our best interest to let those residents know what's happening. So anyway, we can do that. There's activity, so the neighbors are always concerned about activity.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yep, good idea. Anything else for John?
Dan has a question.
He's frozen on my screen.
I can see him here, so.
Go ahead, Dan.
I have just one comment to make. I think the roller application is going to give you a much better paint application because of the thickness of the coat, for one thing. And then the second question I had for John was any reduction in any fire suppression for that area that we would have to be aware of?
That would be a question that Lenny would be more equipped to respond to since he knows the system better than I do. But there shouldn't be. We should be maintaining the same system pressure as if we were running off that tank. That's what the pumps at Cox are supposed to do. I'm going to talk to Lenny about that and we'll get back to you if there's a different answer. Does that sound
All
fair?
right, thank you.
Good question, though. We need to be aware
Just
of
something
that.
we'd have to prepare for if indeed there was any problem with it.
Certainly.
So I guess when you send that notice out to whomever's involved, make sure fire chief gets it too. So they know the time frame. Okay, anything else? All right, go ahead, Randy.
Okay, trustee LaRue,
Yes.
trustee Marks,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes,
trustee Everson,
Yes,
treasurer Johnson,
Yes.
clerk Rattari is yes, and supervisor Durant.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, 9B is consider proposed zoning text amendments to allow for and regulate adult use recreational and medical marijuana facilities. Second reading. Jason, do you want to take this or?
Sure. Well, the notification has been placed in the newspaper indicating the first reading. We have not received any adverse comments regarding the proposed. There hasn't been any amendments to what's being proposed. This is a rather introductory approach to both allowing and regulating marijuana facilities in Marquette Township. So as Roger indicated so eloquently at our last meeting, we've reviewed this quite a bit and believe that we have something that is equitable for both Marquette Township and for the community to take advantage of should they choose to. As you remember, this was a voter measured constitutional amendment. And so, we always try to be, it says right in our, right in the tagline of our letterhead that we recognize and meet the needs of the community. So this was our effort at trying to meet that need. And we believe that, as with any zoning text amendment, they can always be adjusted in the future. You notice that we don't have a lot of licenses that are available. That can be amended over time, but right now we believe that this is a pretty introductory, introductory level zoning text amendment to allow for and regulate these land uses.
Okay, Randy?
Question for Roger. Roger, I think we should take the marijuana ordinance first on this. Because if that does not pass, then this is mute, correct?
Correct.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposed marijuana ordinance that was presented and published as required.
support.
Okay. Comments?
My comment is it's all around us. We might as well catch up with the times and move forward. So
Absolutely. It's a part of the future, I guess. It's up to the individuals whether they want to partake in it or not, but if it isn't in our township, it'll be somewhere else.
Well, the public voted on it, so
That's right.
as much as I don't like it, they voted for it, so I guess we have to do what's voted on.
John, you had your hand up?
I did. I wanted to speak up and indicate that I appreciated the extensive, sophisticated approach that the commission took and the extensive effort they made to cover this in such a way that it will be okay in Marquette Township. I thank them for that, and I approve the motion.
Ernie?
Ernie, yep.
Last time I voted no on it to bring it to the second reading and that. I really haven't changed my mind. I've been doing a lot of thinking and asking some people and that, talking to people, which I have some time to do now. And the biggest thing I have is that how many of these facilities do we need in Marquette County? And that when you stop and think about what's going on right now all over and that, I go back to the old setting is that the old discussions that on every corner you have a liquor store. Right now on every corner we're going to have a marijuana shop and that. Whether that's good or bad, I can't tell you that. But there's got to be at some point in time where it's going to be over and saturated in the area and that. And I'm just concerned with any type of law enforcement problems we may have in the township and that. Especially with we're contracting out with the county to do the law enforcement and that. So I'm concerned with that end of it. I feel what the planning commission did was fantastic. The hours and the time they put into coming up with this ordinance was fantastic. And they protected everything we can think of. And I think it's the best thing there is that we can come up with for the township and that. I still haven't changed my mind about that. I just think we have a sufficient amount of them in Marquette County at this point in time and that. So that's my comments for what it's worth in that.
Thank you. Pete?
Jason can correct me, but I don't ever remember in the years I've been serving on the committees and that, in any other issue that the planning commission didn't do such extensive research and everything else and any other subject that we had, except for this one right here in marijuana. Yeah, we don't want them on every corner, but the marketplace should take care of that. But yes, we still got liquor stores all over and, but I guess that's not our choice. We have to take care of what we can. And Jason, isn't this one of the items that had more research and that done than any other thing you've done?
Well, yes, because it's something that's new, right? It's that we haven't really crossed the path of yet. And so it did take some more time and research, especially on the legal side of things, to make sure that we weren't compromising either of the two. And Roger is really good at explaining that, but either of the two, the medical side or the adult use recreational side, Roger did a great job of merging those two together. But yes, I mean, there was a lot of time put into it. I don't believe we slow played it by any means, but we really did take the time and effort to make sure that it was something that was equitable for our residents and visitors, but something that was equitable for those who desire to pursue those licenses as well. I will point out that we did not allow for, and I don't think I'm not aware of any of the communities that have yet, the temporary marijuana event or the consumption facility. We are not permitting those two uses that are identified in the state law in Marquette Township. So it's more of a patient customer relationship or patient provider relationship, and then more of a retail scenario.
But we don't have consumption outside of the facilities also, so. And I guess I overlooked Roger, what a good job you did. Thank you very much to protect our township. And if we have a problem with this, it's starting acquire more problems, and as far as more time in that, we have inspections of there, we might have to adjust the rate of inspection if we start giving us too much problems or something like that, so.
I believe it's been proven to be if you're able to jump through all the hoops and get all the state permits, I think it's proven to be a fairly, lucrative scenario. And I don't believe that the business owners who desire to develop in Marquette Township are going to want to jeopardize those fees or I'm sorry, those permits. And so we expect that they'll abide by not only the ordinances that are potentially going to be in place tonight, but the other sections of the ordinance that are relevant to any development in the community.
Well, I would like to see that maybe some of the fees or something like that from the county or something like that could be put against retention as far as helping people who have a problem. So that's just my own idea.
Yeah, that's a good point. Something that Ryan and I, Planner Diedrichson and I studied or discussed, prior to the rec committee meeting tonight, that, if this does get approved, we're gonna have to get together a fee schedule rather quickly. And it's also something that we'll have to work with Roger on to make sure that that's not something that is outside of the bounds of what we can incur as well.
Thank you, Jason.
Question
Go ahead, Ernie.
to Jason. You talked about the fee schedule. Once you set the fee schedule, will that not have to come back to the board for approval?
It may, based on the fact that it is something that is approved by the board every year. So that would be probably on the next meeting agenda for a quick amendment to that. And what I've tasked Planner Diedrichson with is gathering what the other communities in the area are charging for those fees based on the permit fee, so that we can have some kind of baseline of what to look at.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
John Marks had a question.
Okay. He's frozen on my screen. Go ahead, John.
Thank you. I just wanted to say township governments in Michigan are still a creature of the state legislature. This is what we were handed by the state legislature when they put the question on the ballot. This is what we've been handed. And I think that our planning commission and our attorney and our other officers of our township have done the very best they can to protect the township, but still abide by what we're handed by the state legislature. And we have to keep that in mind. They put that on the ballot. And we did the best we could with it. And that's what you got. And I think I applaud their work.
Well, thanks, John. I'm putting in my 10th year of work here with Marquette Township this year in 21. And I'll say that we have had a progressive planning commission and board and committee members for a number of years. And that progressive mindset allows us to react and address things in a fairly quick manner. And I think that, especially by the way that other communities contact us for assistance, I think that bodes really well with both our residents and our surrounding municipalities.
I've got a question for Jason or maybe Roger, I don't know. There are different numbers on the categories of how many establishments would be allowed. Is there a rationale there? Actually, I would like to just see one on each one of those categories. Is there a reason that we had multiples?
Yes, and Roger can explain that, but it has to do with licenses and requirements for having both licenses, both the medical and the adult recreational side of it.
Well, actually, they're on the medical and the recreational adult use marijuana, they can co-locate if they have a license for each. So in other words, if you had only one, let's say, I'm just looking in the category here, finding the right page. A provisioning center or marijuana retailer, they could be either a medical marijuana retailer or an adult use recreational marijuana retailer, but they could not be both. So you would need to have a minimum of two if you want to allow both types of licensees to operate out of the same establishment. That's pretty much what other communities are doing. Aside from that, the number that was selected was the subject of much planning commission discussion. Aside from the co-location issue, there isn't a legal reason why there needs to be a maximum of three micro businesses versus 2 or 4 micro businesses. That was a topic of considerable discussion, and I was not at every planning commission meeting because much of that didn't involve a legal analysis. But when I would get revisions back that said, well, can we do this? Or we've weighed this and weighed that, very frequently those numbers were different on each version I got. So I know there was a lot of discussion that went into that by the planning commission. So really, to summarize that, the only legal requirement there is, or legal logistical issue, is you probably should be allowing a business to have both a medical marijuana provisioning center license and an adult use marijuana retailer license at the same address. So that's 2 licenses, and it's only one business.
Okay.
That was, I know that was a lot of the rationale of what went into the Planning Commission's recommendations, and why at least 5 of the categories are in even numbers.
So we could actually have 8 different, no, 2, 4, well, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We could have 8 different types of businesses.
Well, in theory, you could have 16 different types of businesses, because I suppose you could have one provisioning center that is only a provisioning center for medical marijuana, and that's one license. And then you could have another who is only an adult use recreational retailer. So that's another license, but more frequently at least, and experience is almost non-existent because this is such a new subject, but the limited experience that's available and input from other communities seems to be that at least frequently, the applicants will want to obtain co-located licenses, and that would go for growers, for example, as well, or processors, that they would do both types of marijuana businesses with a separate license for medical and adult use, but at one common location.
Right, so we could end up with 8 different facilities, each with 2 licenses, roughly. Okay.
And Jake,
Well, except there are a couple of them that there is no such thing in the medical marijuana field.
Mhm.
And you've eliminated the most difficult and controversial one. So there are 0 designated consumption establishments. That is strictly an adult use recreational category. And similarly, temporary marijuana events, that's strictly an adult use marijuana category, but also event organizer, of which you've allocated 1 or are proposing 1, that is also only an adult use recreational marijuana type of facility, as is a micro business. There is no such thing as a medical marijuana micro business. So that's the explanation I have, at least, for why those 2, for which there is no corresponding medical marijuana type of business, you have an odd number allowed as opposed to an even number, because you would not typically be co-locating those types of businesses.
That makes sense. Well, the 2 people that talked to me a few months ago were totally objecting to this whole process. Apparently, they didn't know.
Over there.
And personally, I just assume we just allow medical, but it isn't up to me. And I believe when I talked to Randy that
That's the telephone, another one.
for this,
There's another one here.
so I just wanted to.
Yeah, it's right here,
Okay,
but
it should be long enough.
it's not long enough.
We're gonna mute Ernie.
When you, Randy,
I'm going to mute you for a second, Ernie. Okay, Ernie's muted right now.
go ahead, Pete.
A question for Roger and Jason. Can we stipulate that they have information in their store about the do's and don'ts of marijuana? In Colorado, they have a little flyer they throw in all the grocery bags and different places like that, the do's and don'ts on marijuana. Can we stipulate that they have something in there to educate the people on the do's and don'ts of marijuana?
It's not an ill-advised comment. I suppose you could, because each of these are special use permits and they require a public hearing, and the planning commission can approve, deny, or approve with conditions those types of land uses. So in effect, I guess you could on a literal basis.
Well, and there are a number of don'ts that are state mandates. There's legislation that says you cannot operate a motor vehicle if you're under the influence of marijuana, or just as there are for being under the influence of alcohol. So I guess it would really depend what the flyer says, or what the conditions, what the do's and don'ts that are being suggested are. There are provisions about you can't utilize it on a public bus, for example, and there are all kinds of criteria and requirements at the state law level that are have been implemented already, and we would. I don't know, it would probably be more like a book than a pamphlet if we tried to incorporate everything that the state laws prohibit or allow, for that matter. But I think it's worth some consideration. It's not something that I recall, at least, being specifically addressed or discussed at the Planning Commission level. It was more along the lines of, well, how close to other types of businesses should they be? What type of ventilation should be required in the system, so that we can, or in a building, so that we can help assure that neighbors aren't experiencing overwhelming or overpowering odor or a light trespass or things of this nature. And those are some of the subjects specific to those businesses that I know the Planning Commission talked about quite a lot, because you can't just put one of these businesses on every street corner because they're not permitted in certain zoning districts. And again, even state law mandates that there are only certain zoning districts that they are permitted to be in, but Marquette Township has further reeled that in a little bit.
I'll get a copy for Jason, Ryan, and Roger, so they can throw it in their file.
I would
Just-
like to see that.
Mhm.
I'd welcome the opportunity to look at that.
Thank
Jason,
you.
your hand up.
Yeah, I guess just in summary from staff comments, another aspect that the Planning Commission looked at was the fact that Northern Michigan University currently has curriculum in the subject. And they also own property in Marquette Township. So, you know, from a staff level or an economic development level, we also looked at research and development possibilities, any potential synergies with Northern Michigan University that might be out there. And we try not to be short-sighted from just the retail aspect of it, but to also think about, you know, perhaps some kind of research and development or inspection type of scenarios, because one of the things I'm hearing, as indicated by a phone call that I had last week, was that it's very expensive for the stores that are currently operating to sell their product because they have to get that material from downstate. And there is no inspection or safety. I can't remember the proper terminology. Roger probably has it right close to him, but it's basically, you know, taking the product itself and being able to certify it. And there's not one of those facilities in the area. And so somebody who owns property in our segregated business district where that particular land use would be allowed, was interested in that. And if we can have those types of facilities that also provide jobs and research and development, the Planning Commission thought that that might be a good idea as well.
Well, they are going to have a growing facility up at the old airport, I understand, but
What else? Anything?
I think we're just trying to be cautious because some of us, older people are just don't like that. I think we don't want our kids to do it, but hell, look what's happening in Washington without it, maybe. I don't know.
Well, even my age, Pete, I never really thought we'd be in a position in my lifetime to be even reviewing these things as a zoning administrator. But I hope that you know that the Planning Commission was very, if you're familiar with Mr. Springer and Mr. Wiegand, Mr. Hakenen, those planning commissioners are pretty sharp and looked at things and kept staff pretty challenged on a lot of different things, including Roger. So Roger is really the, you know, kind of the glue that put all this together, because there were, as you can imagine, lots of varying ideas about what we should do. But I think once the Planning Commission came up with, you know, to the degree that we wanted to allow for it, Roger really made that happen. So
I know that the tribal gas station, what they're going to do, they want to do it the right way. So, you know, a lot of
yep,
crap.
we've been in discussion with them. They've submitted some plans that Ryan's been reviewing with the fire department, and we've been tweaking them as we go to make sure that they're in compliance. But yes, they do want to be above board, and we want to also make sure that these entities abide by the other sections of the ordinance, particularly with regard to parking, signage, and, you know, other health safety measures that are out there.
All right.
Well, I do want to commend the Planning Commission too. They have done an outstanding job of trying to put this together. It's very comprehensive. What else? Anything? We have a motion and second, I believe, right, Randy? It's been,
Yes.
all right. Go ahead and do your roll call.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the marijuana ordinance as proposed in what was published. So the roll call vote is Clerk Rattari is yes. Trustee Everson,
Yes.
Trustee Marks,
Yes,
Trustee LaRue,
Yes.
Trustee Winslow,
Yes,
Treasurer Johnson,
I've been listening to everything and I'm going to change my vote for yes, because I think you've covered everything that needs to be done.
okay, and Supervisor Durant?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 7-0. So that'll trigger us to, I think, do another publishing, Roger? Of that?
Correct.
And then if the other two text amendments are approved, they will also be published again.
Also correct.
Your samples?
No free samples, Pete.
So we don't need a motion for the text amendment.
We
tonight.
do.
I thought so, but I wasn't sure what you were saying.
Yeah, we do, Lynn, for the next two.
Okay.
Can we do them together or they have to be sent separate?
Probably separate would be better.
Okay.
So I will make a motion now that the marijuana ordinance is approved to approve the proposed zoning text amendments to allow for and regulate adult use recreational and medical marijuana facilities.
I'll
Second
support
reading.
that also.
Okay. Discussion? Question?
Pushing that one out.
I think we beat the dead horse.
Okay, just want to make sure everybody gets a chance to. Go ahead, Randy.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the text amendment to allow for and regulate adult use recreational medical marijuana facilities for the second reading and as published. So Clerk Rattari is yes. Trustee Everson,
Yes,
Trustee Marks,
Yes,
Trustee LaRue,
Yes,
Trustee Winslow,
Yes,
Treasurer Johnson,
Yes.
and Supervisor Durant.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay. Anything else we need on that topic? Okay, we can go to consider proposed zoning text amendments to allow for and regulate mobile food trucks. Second reading.
I will move to accept that as a second reading.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
Okay,
Linda did.
And again, the motion is to approve the proposed zoning text amendment to allow for and regulate mobile food trucks, second reading. Clerk Rattari is yes. Trustee Winslow,
Yes,
Trustee Everson,
yes,
Trustee Marks,
yes,
Trustee LaRue,
Yes,
Treasurer Johnson,
Yes.
and Supervisor Durant.
yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
John, you did have your hand up. Did we jump over you?
it's okay. I approve.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Randy. All right, we have a little bit of public left. Does anybody want to address the board before we finish up? Okay. Any announcements from the board?
I just have one, Lynn.
Sure.
Okay, last Wednesday, we participated in what they call risk auditing for the election. So we randomly selected like 4 ballots out of all the ballots that came in from the township from the election. So we randomly selected them, put them on a tally sheet, what they were, and we sent our results to the county. And then they will send those results on to the state. So basically a risk auditing for the election is basically to concur with what the election results were. So I haven't seen results from that yet, but when I do get them from the state, I will pass them along.
Should we get some kind of grade or something, or just a verification?
Yeah, it's done. This is the first time it's done in Michigan. States like Colorado has done it before, and they found very high correlation with the audit versus what the actual election results were.
So each municipality in the county submits something?
Yeah, like we had 4 ballots, the city of Marquette had like 20, but each township had at least 1.
Interesting. Okay,
So when I get those results, I'll pass those along.
okay. Any other announcements? Okay, take it away, Manager John.
Well, you have my written report, and it probably could have been quite a few more pages. I try not to inundate you each meeting with too much information. Your packets are thick enough as it is. I think probably the most exciting news is we finally have some weather that's below freezing. So the ice rink is reopened. And it was reopened yesterday when the kids were off from school. And we still had ice to skate on today. So they didn't destroy it in one day. This is a first this year. That's actually pretty impressive. So it was available for open skate today. We are doing what we can to keep maintaining that facility. I want everyone to know too that I've asked Lenny and Andrew to look into the cost of an edging tool. For those of you that have been out to the facility, we have a pretty high lip along the dasher boards that to me is a significant liability concern. And that lip is caused by water either coming down the boards, melting off the fence, whatever, and just accumulating there. And if you have kids out there shooting pucks at the boards and it hits that lip, that puck can come right back at you in an unexpected manner. So we're looking at a way to eliminate that safety issue in an affordable manner. So we're doing our research on it. Whether or not we can accomplish anything this year, I guess, stay tuned. We'll see if we can or not. It is not a budgeted purchase. So if it comes back at an unreasonable amount, we probably won't be able to do anything this year unless we ask you to do a budget amendment. So I guess know that we're looking at it. There are some issues with the fencing curling up at the bottom where the pucks have skimmed over the top of the boards and hit the bottom of the fence. So now the pucks can go straight through right at the playground. That's a safety issue. We're going to try to correct that as soon as we can. I guess there's always things that we have to be staying on top of when we have these facilities maintained, and every month there's a different challenge. I guess that's really the exciting news for township residents is the ice rink is reopened and we have cold enough weather to maintain frozen water. So.
Anything for the manager?
John, Marks, and Pete.
Thanks. John, go ahead. You're frozen. Speaking of ice.
I don't, you called me? Okay. I just wanted to appraise our manager that when those hot pickleball players start, there'll be more conflicts. And Pete can tell you all about it.
We'll probably have a few months to wait for that.
Pete wants to answer too, Lynn.
Thanks, Randy. My screen's freezing up on me. Go ahead, Pete.
John, would you want to comment about the events committee, the schedule and stuff like that? And also,
Sure. The events committee is going to meet again tomorrow. We have a full slate of events to consider, some proposals that have been presented. I've received inquiry from what is it, Double Trouble, who have provided some activities for community days in the past. So we will be considering whether or not, if there are if I got the name of the event right, community days, if there will be one this year, whether or not we're going to rent a bounce house or whatever. So I guess that's where that's at. There will be consideration of whether or not the events committee will be participating in the Builders Show event. And obviously, being that some of this discussion is different from what has been done in the past, you will likely be getting something back on that in February. On any change.
John, during that builder show, well, okay, I was just thinking of some of our little booklets that we have. Do you think that'd be a good spot to have a booth over there during that show and just have something available? We don't always have to be manned, but we could have it in, I got some plastic inserts. We can put them in those and something else about our township. I just got a question, that's all.
I think that would be a great idea if they're willing to work with us, and that would probably start with a mutual partnership on the front end. You know, if we're working with them, I'm sure they will accommodate something from our end during the event too, but it's really going to depend on what we end up committing to, if anything.
All right, what time's that meeting tomorrow again?
11 o'clock. We're trying to maintain the same time of the day.
All right.
Just the day of the week might change depending on everyone's availability.
All righty. I think I got it marked down there.
You want to send that out just in case anybody's interested? You want to send the link to listen in?
I'm sorry, send what out?
The link for the meeting?
So it's not a Zoom meeting. We're actually meeting in person because it's such a small group.
It's sort of an organization thing.
And
Okay.
we meet over at the mall.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't want a quorum anyway if the board decided to show up. That wouldn't work either.
Right.
Anything else for the manager? Okay. Randy, do you want to review the motions, please?
Okay, so the first motion was to approve the consent agenda as presented, and it was approved. Second motion was to approve the regular agenda as presented, and that was approved. The third motion of the evening was to approve the award of the bid to St. Germain contractors for Northwoods tank painting and repairs, and that was approved. The fourth motion was to approve the marijuana ordinance, the proposed marijuana ordinance as presented, and that was approved. Fifth motion was to approve the zoning text amendments for allow and regulate adult use recreational and medical marijuana facilities, and that was approved. And the sixth motion of the evening was to approve the proposed zoning text amendments to allow for and regulate mobile food trucks, and that was approved.
Okay, thank you.
And I guess we don't have any action items to be moved on to the next also.
We're just going to maybe look at declaring the charger a surplus asset. And that may be on the agenda, and then the fee schedule for marijuana, if that's ready. And so far, that's all I know for the next meeting. Unless some-
About committee appointments, if you have any, Lynn.
Yeah, we could leave that standing. I think we usually did for January, February. Good updates. Okay.
Hey, Lynn,
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
on the Marquette Road Commission, the last item in F is employees keeping cell phone numbers at retirement. What was it? Do you know anything why that was in there, or why do people want to keep them, or what?
The road commission?
Yeah. Were you aware of any discussion on that?
Uh-uh.
Okay,
Oh, John, and you know anything about that? You talk to those guys more than the rest of us.
I'm not aware of that particular discussion, but we've actually done it here too, where retirees who've had the same number for however many years, they can take that number with them. We basically have to work with Verizon to get the number transferred to them. And if they keep their same phone, we get a appraised value of the phone, declare it surplus, and then they can purchase it. So they can just take the phone they've had for the last 10, 20 years with them when they leave. And the township isn't left short on anything because they're paying the appraised value on the equipment ends up being more than you would probably normally pay for it.
Right.
They're paying for convenience and taking it with them when they leave.
Is that
So-
kind of what you were thinking, Pete? Is that the way it was?
Yeah, I
worded?
just, if that was the right way of thinking and stuff like that. So. All right, that's good.
Any other board member comment? Anything else?
Linda.
And, yeah, I'm just wondering when the planning commission report comes to the board. Since I'm the planning commission liaisons person, I didn't know when I should be doing a report.
So it would be the February 2nd meeting, because you will meet tomorrow.
We met last week, we met on January 13th.
Yeah, okay. That would have been, we could have put that under reports.
So I can give a little brief report, okay? It was an organizational meeting, I'll call it, because there were some new members. The new chairperson is Jim Johnson. And the vice chairperson, let's see, I don't have his name right here. Jason, can you help me?
No, Jason's gone, so.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I didn't actually write that down. I think they were discussing that, and then I will be the secretary. So I will get you the name of the vice chairperson. The other thing is they did approve the special use permit for the short-term rental in Trowbridge Park. And they did have some questions about how they could help with the recycling of glass going forward. So if the board wants to direct the planning commission to assist in any way they can, they're open to that. So then I'll give another report at the next meeting.
That sounds good.
Thank you.
I
Hmm.
believe the vice chair is Steve Hakinen.
Well, I had Steve written down and then I crossed it out because, yeah, but I think you're correct.
Deal.
Thank you.
Hey, Lynn,
Yes, sir.
the DDA meetings, are they Zoom meetings?
Which ones?
The DDA?
Yes,
Are they? Okay. And when's
Yeah.
the next, when is that next meeting?
We haven't, I don't know if we've recorded them though, John, have we? I don't think so.
No, we have not.
All right.
I can tell you fairly quickly, I think. No, I don't know. There will be a special meeting February 9th at 3 p.m.
and that'll be posted, Pete.
All right.
Any other board member comment?
John, on those DDA meetings, you should just have at least a tape recording of them, if not a Zoom recording. Just so you have a recording. Till your minutes are approved anyway.
Okay, anything else?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second,
Okay. Randy, roll call?
trustee Everson,
Yes.
clerk Rattari is yes. Trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee LaRue,
Yes.
trustee Marks,
Yes.
treasurer Johnson,
Yes.
and supervisor Durant.
Yes. I have
Motion.
7:55.
Motion carries and I have 7:55. Yep. I'll shut the recording off here.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.